Hell,
Right.
hoy, hoy, hoy. Howdy.
Hi.
You sound very guttural.
I don't know what you're referring to. Just kidding. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very sickly episode of the Battle Bros podcast. Don't adjust your viewing device. I'm not Rudolph. I've been blowing my nose all fucking day, and I have a red nose, so I could lead Santa's reindeer team through the worst of blizzards. So, hooray for me. What's going on,
Lead
you
away.
beautiful people? Yeah, lead from the front.
You know, instead
See?
of Rudolph, you could be Dustoff.
That could be good. But
We
knowing
all
the
know. We all know what.
significance of the
We all know what Dustoff is. Yeah.
yeah, that's like what's going on, everybody? We're glad to see you back. If you're joining us for the first time, hey, thanks for checking us out. We're the Battle Bros podcast. My name is Mac. This is Alma over here to the side of me because I always get that messed up of what's what over here.
And
Um,
we're so happy to see you, fabulous, fabulous people.
we are, and we're sorry that I'm sorry that I look like shit. So, just throwing that out there. This man always looks pretty damn dapper and handsome. So, and then he does that shit. All right. So, if you're joining us for the first time, we're two guys that have been friends for a long damn time. We get on here and we talk about military and veteran culture and lifestyle, and with the ultimate goal of helping to stem the tide of the suicide pandemic amongst veterans. So that's kind
Yeah.
of that's our thing in a nutshell. So if you like what you see at the end of the night, hey, check us out. Hit that notification button. We have a lot of different ways you can check us out. We've got a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel you can check out. Just look for Battle Bros podcast, and you'll be able to find it in one of various methods and viewing
Absolutely.
platforms. So check it out.
And don't forget to like, share. If you're on Rumble, hit that Rumble button. And
Can you watch Rumble in a Rumble seat?
you can.
Nice.
It's something you can do. And
Yeah.
follow us over there on Anchor as well as on the Spotify.
Just
you can
check
keep up
like,
on
subscribe, and follow on all the Insta Twit things.
like
I speak
and
words.
give like all the stars and
Now
likes
I
and
have a
whatnot.
weepy eyeball. That's lovely. Fantastic.
Yes.
I'm not crying, folks. I am a little bit sensitive, but I'm not crying. I'm just suffering from some kind of head crud. So if you're coming back to us, appreciate you stopping back by. We'd love to see you when you come back. So let's just get right into it. So if you caught our show last week, we had a pretty cool conversation on episode 047 where we discussed, compared, and contrasted being selfless versus selfish, and why there's not always a clean cut and dry of this is good, this is bad. The lines get a little bit. It's like the Rob Thicke song, "Blurred Lines." There's a little bit of some nonsensical shit going on in there. So yeah, you like that. Yeah, you like that. I know you want it. Hey, I know you want it. Yep. And this is where I stopped singing because I was never a good singer.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey,
Hey, hey, hey.
All right, I'm gonna for real. I'm gonna stop. So this week we're gonna take a little bit different direction. We're actually gonna do a topic that
You are an animal. Try to domesticate you. I'm kidding.
who was that on there with him? That was T.I., right?
I think so.
I'm gonna listen to that when I get off here, man. I want to listen to that Blurred Lines, man. I'm just driving around in the car all night, just bumping this shit as I'm driving. Anyway, so we're like I said, we're gonna take a slightly different direction. We're gonna have a topic that's kind of been influenced by some current events of some stuff that happened here in Florida in the last week.
Indeed.
So welcome to the Thunderdome. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome to episode 048. We're going to have a chat on the topic of integrity and why that is important, not just to your military career, but also to your civilian life as well. So the reason this came up is kind of twofold. I'm going to explain my motivation for this. So I live in Tampa, and there was a story in the news about how the now former chief of police kind of had a little bit of a. She was stopped with her and her husband for driving a golf cart that wasn't registered to be on a public roadway. And the first thing, there was, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about it. I'm just
You know
saying
what's pretty insane is it made literally national
national
news
news.
too.
I saw it on
WAPO, CNN,
I saw it
CW.
on Facebook on like the Blue Lives Matter Facebook page or some stuff. So it was just like,
USA
yeah,
Today. Jesus,
yeah.
People Magazine, like all
Stevie,
these people.
I saw it on CBS National News. Yeah, but anyway, so the former police chief, her and her husband were driving were driving a golf cart that was not registered for the public roadway. Which, okay, that's kind of dumb. Okay, I'm not saying anything against that person, but it's like being a cop, you should probably know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they get stopped by a Pinellas County sheriff's deputy because they live out across county lines in Odessa, or one of their properties, and that's a whole nother discussion for another time. So they get stopped, and the first thing that happened was she asked if the body worn camera for the deputy was on, to which he said yes, it is. So long story short, there was kind of a little bit of influence that was tried to have been passed along, saying, "Hey, I'm the police chief over in Tampa. Is there any way we can just kind of, let this one slide," kind of thing?
Yeah.
Which, okay, to be fair, there's a lot of professional courtesy that happens amongst law enforcement. I get that; it's all good. But when you come right off the bat, guns blazing, it's like
I got the article.
it's
from,
kind of. What's
Tampa
up?
Bay. I got the article from the Tampa Bay Times there too.
Yeah. So when you come in, and that's like the first thing out of your mouth, it gives it, there's two important things that happen. There's what really happened, and then there's the perception of what happened. And perception can be its own evil thing in its own right. So long story short, the body cam footage, blah blah blah. I can't talk. I'm all muddled upstairs. The body cam footage was released to the news, and the chief owned up and said, "Listen, I'm going to put myself up for review with the Professional Standards Bureau, and I will accept any decision they make." Mayor Castor, who used to be the police chief here in Tampa, said, "I want your resignation on my desk," pretty much like as soon as possible. So that all went down over the last weekend and stuff. So, and the mayor, I think, did a good job of, there was a Facebook post, which, could have gone out and stuff. Or we could have shared, but, didn't think about it till just now. So double dumbass on me. She had a very, well worded post saying, "I'm all about giving people a second chance." Now, that is in reference to an incident that happened very early in this former police chief's career when she was just a beat officer with the Tampa Police Department.
Oh, wow. There's even a YouTube video here, man.
Yeah, they've got it up on YouTube. Yeah. So there was an incident where she was kind of like terminated and then came back on about a year later. There is a little bit of controversy that maybe some things were kind of swept under the rug. I don't want to, perpetuate the hearsay with that, but there's just a sense of, kind of some impropriety going on there. Yeah. But again, going back to what the mayor said, she was like, I'm very, the disappointment runs deep because the second chance I gave, and this is what happened. It is up to us to maintain the standards and the trust of the community in this police department. And that was not done here. So have a nice day, center packet, and all that kind of stuff. So there's that. So that was kind of, one of the motivating factors behind our show tonight, talking about integrity. And I think Alamo has something that I just found out about like literally 30 minutes ago of how he can kind of get wrapped up in this. So why don't you tell him your bit there, buddy?
This guy actually, I don't necessarily follow the guy all that much. I've seen
he does have some notoriety,
and he does have notoriety. Yeah. It's kind of the situation with the Liver King. Now, the Liver King, has been going on this tirade of like, "Oh yeah, I'm all natty, bro," and he would make these videos about how, he got the way he is, as big as he is, because of, just, eating natural meats and kind of like
Eating liver and bone marrow, I believe, are the two things that were
yeah.
specifically listed in the
Hence
article.
why Liver King, right? Um, and he basically got as big as he did just by doing what he was doing. Um, one of the biggest things is that he would always say, "I'm all natty, bro. I'm all natty."
Okay,
It
do
turns
you like
out,
Natty Ice? Okay,
yeah,
that's cool.
turns out he wasn't all natty. It turns out actually that he was in fact using PEDs as well as HGH, um, which for those of you that don't know what it is, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of our audience that does watch this is going to know it's human growth hormone, um, which allowed him to go ahead and bulk up and, you know,
I mean, no, let's not coming from a guy who's not the most gym savvy person. Um, this guy looks like a fucking just an animal, an
yes, he
absolute
does.
beast. Like he is just shredded. Okay,
Yes.
like he's big, he's bulky. I mean, just a big old son bitch, right?
Yeah. He's basically a walking fucking muscle. Um, he was ousted. I don't remember how exactly. I'd have to look back I'd have to look the article back up, but he was ousted as to what he actually does, and he actually ended up having to admit, like, okay, yeah, I do some
I
of
got
this.
caught. Let me step this back now.
Exactly, I do some of this. I do some of that. But I still do my,
I'm not all natural. I'm like
livers and all that.
97% natural.
Yeah, yeah. And it's one of those things where you kind of think to yourself, like, look, man, you I'm going to say it this way. Young men today already kind of have issues with trying to cope with who we are as just as men anyway. We're told we're too masculine by
Okay,
one side.
now listen. Let's not spoil anything for a future episode.
Also valid.
Let's not get too far into the weeds here, man. Let's
But
just back off
aside
that
from
dirt.
all the other stuff that has being said, um,
And discovered.
you have a man who is saying, "Oh, I'm doing this," and he's telling guys that, "Oh, you're not training hard enough. You're not working hard enough. Get your ass working. Get your ass in the gym." Blah 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 blah. And it turns out he wasn't even practicing what he was preaching. At the end of the day, he was using enhancement. He was using things to enhance his gains, um, that were not that were unfortunately not the way he was preaching what these guys should do. You got young impressionable young men watching his videos and all this stuff, and the funny thing is a lot of these guys were just eating it up. But what happens psychologically to somebody when, you know what I mean? It just it was
Basically,
something that
yeah.
we, you know, re-
This kind
you
of
want to talk
rung.
about integrity.
This is
Come
something
on,
that
man.
rings true to both of us. I mean, we've had experiences with this. I mean, all I got to say on the other two stuff, on the other things out there, and the person that this comment is directed at will understand this immediately. But
Hmm.
sometimes you just gotta do the right thing and stay in character. So, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
it's all good. But so that's a yeah, yeah. That's hey, buddy, what's happening? That's a mess. That's a secret message out to somebody. So, anyway,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk a little bit about integrity today and what it means and why it's so damn important.
Your buddy.
Not just for folks that have been in the military, but also why it's important in your daily lives. Okay, so let's hit the ground running, shall we? So, integrity. What is it? Well, folks, let's dive into that right now, shall we? Integrity is defined as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, also defined as moral uprightness, okay? Being a stand up person, okay? When I think of integrity, I immediately go back to um, like the times of like my grandfather. He grew up during the Depression. was very much an old school guy, and I've mentioned him a buttload of times on this show. And he was, besides my dad, I looked a lot to my dad and my grandfather just for how to be a man, how to be a guy, how to go out and be a that kind of person in the world. And one of the things that my grandfather did, he only had a high school education. He went out, despite all that, he ran a produce company in the city of Zephyr Hills. He was a president of the bank in Zephyr Hills at one point, but just an all around stand up dude. And he's kind of one of those old school guys where like your integrity goes along with your trust. Like, people trust you because you have integrity. And what I mean by that is this: the old school method of when you come up to a verbal arrangement on something, you shake hands on it, and your word is your bond. Okay. You are now in that agreement until the deal is done, right? It's not, well, it's like, okay, well, if something happens, okay, hey, make arrangements to make it right, that kind of thing. But, you're going through this to, you know, honor the deal and the commitment that you made. So that's what I immediately picture when I hear of integrity. I was talking to my daughter the other night. We were sitting around the table, and integrity is, we kind of told her, it's like, hey, it's doing the right thing, even though people aren't around to see you doing the right thing when nobody's looking, that kind of stuff. The Army defines integrity, which is one of their 7 Army values. I couldn't remember what the hell that was called, so thank you. The 7 Army values, which come up with the acronym LDRSHIP, which is leadership. So we have loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. The Army defines integrity as doing what's right legally and morally. Integrity is a quality you develop by adhering to moral principles. It requires that you do and say nothing that deceives others. As your integrity grows, so does your trust others place in you. So does the trust others place in you. Excuse me. The more choices you make based on integrity, the more this highly prized value will affect your relationships with family and friends. And finally, the fundamental acceptance of yourself. Okay. Alamo, what do you got to add to that, bud?
Honestly,
Hit me.
it's I've always thought of
real quick. Let me interrupt. Again, folks, as I mentioned, I'm a little bit like sniffly and feeling cruddy. So if you hear like all that kind of like animals feeding in the woods, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to do this off the mic. So if you see me ducking in and out,
very nasally.
oh, I'm congested. I feel like a can of smashed assholes right now. Like my voice is deeper. It sounds awful, sort of. But
Him's got a case of the crud. Is what it is.
I got a case of the creepy crud. So not crepes. Case of the crud. Because we're not going to say, I want you to say, I love crepes. Because we're not going to do that. We're not going to.
What is that? The little thin pancake? Oh my God, I love those.
We're going to go get those afterwards, man. Those are great. But you live in sitting here, Peppy. You don't know about liberty. You don't know about freedom. So why don't you just go ahead and break my arm there, Peppy, little bitch?
Oh, he broke it.
Oh, I broke it. Sorry. Sidebar. Anyway, get
Ricky
back.
Bobby. Yeah.
Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. No.
Talladega Nights.
Damn right. Honestly, no. Like, I think honestly, the Army value, the way the Army values kind of describe it is, I mean, really that in a nutshell. Like, I've always thought of it as you do the right thing no matter what. And if nobody's watching and you're still doing the right thing, then you're doing the right thing regardless.
I would, and I know why they have to say legally and morally. I would say morally, yeah. Legally, listen, we're both, lifetime members of the Sham Shield Mafia. So let's break it down from that perspective, okay?
Let's break it down kindergarten style.
Or somebody said on our show, let's break it down like a shotgun. So, anyway. Yeah, like you want to do what's right morally, okay? Yeah. Legally is where things get a little bit sketchy because there might be things that just disappear off of official inventories due to the Sham Shield Mafia, okay?
Correct.
Because we all know that the word steal is an acronym for the strategic transfer of equipment to an alternate location.
Yes.
So, sometimes you gotta, and if there's a great video that Angry Cops put out this week on his channel talking about where there's a picture of a service rifle and the barrel and the front end are literally bent like somebody ran over this shit with an armored vehicle, and you're just like, oh fuck, hold on, hello,
Good.
yes, Sergeant Major, how's it going? What? No, we didn't run over no damn weapon. No, honestly, Sergeant Major, that was the Delta Company. You know how many counseling statements you have to give them since
Couldn't be
July.
no 50 barrel. Tell you that much.
Okay, Sergeant Major. Who? God damn it! I was on the phone with Sergeant Major. Somebody get over to Delta, steal an upper, freaking swap out the optics. They're serialized. Don't do that shit. Okay. Legally, oh yeah, that's a little bit fucky. Morally, it shades the line a little bit. But you know what? You got to keep your integrity of your stuff together. So
Damn right.
there's that. So yeah, integrity is just one of those values. Also, like if you think of a leader, guys of yesterday, guys of today, integrity is a big deal. Integrity is a huge deal.
You have to be examples to your crew. You have to be examples to your crew. You have to be an example to the guys that you lead. How else are you going to teach? How else are you going to tell them to not do something when you're doing the exact opposite? You know what I mean?
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say. I appreciate that, man.
You know what I mean?
They got the mental fog going on. But yeah, and that's something I had
That's
to
what
learn.
I'm here for, pal.
Hey, what's up, Brian? What's going on, man? Just tactically acquire.
Hey.
Tactfully acquire. Yeah, that's absolutely right. But that's something that I had to learn, and when I was in the team leader role, I had guys that were underneath me in Afghanistan. I was a department manager when I worked in retail. You have people under you, like you have to set the right example, and doing what's right even when nobody's looking, that kind of thing. So it's something I think is just one of the most important things that a leader or a role model can have for somebody that looks up to them, or somebody
Absolutely.
that is kind of there, that they are going to be in the role of a supervisor too. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, that just comes down to owning up on your shit, man.
Yeah, even if it's like exactly like there's been times you made mistakes. It's like, okay, what happens? Like, this is what happened. We messed up. We're fixing it right now. Okay, I'm owning up to it and go from there. Okay. Did we have to steal something? I'm not at liberty to say, but just know that all will be right by the morning. So,
and that's the thing and that's another thing too, is like, having good integrity means also owning, like, if you're owning up to fucking, I don't know, driving through a wall, you're
what? No, Sergeant Major. One of our Spec 4s did not drive a striker through a wall.
It comes, and that's the thing. You have to, like,
I love you, buddy.
You gotta be
seriously.
Yeah, that's a great story.
They're stopping the driver. Stop! Fucking stop! So good.
It just comes down to that one thing. You just kind of you like lying. I can't stand when someone lies about something.
It's just so much easier to tell the truth and own it.
Yeah, and I don't especially like working around adults and things like that. It really, really fucking bugs me. Like, I'm pausing a lot because I'm going back in my head about shit, like, especially like in places where I have worked or may work. It's I have to throw the air quotes up just to kind of make it official but not official. There's just a lot of high school fuck games, if you will, I cannot.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great. We could have a whole show on the fuck games, dude. Let's do
the
that.
The integrity of the integrity of an individual is it's kind of that thing that allows you to be able to take steps forward rather than backward. If you have great integrity, your in my personal opinion, going to move further in life because eventually down the road, if you do not have good integrity, you are eventually found out. It's not like, your come up and
Hence,
never,
hence the
yeah,
thing you brought up about the Liver King. You're
yeah,
gonna get caught.
you're going to get caught at some point down the fucking line. Whether you want to believe it or not, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
My issue is when those individuals are caught and act like they did not do anything wrong, you know.
I'll
And
give you, and
I
I'll
can
give
go, I can
you.
go on a rant on that one, but I'm gonna throw it
So
back to you on that one.
yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like, there's two things that I think of immediately, like integrity, like especially when you're in like that leadership role or that mentorship role. It's being responsible not only for the positives, you know, but also like when one of your guys makes a mistake and fucks up, you're standing tall in front of the general manager, the store manager, the sergeant major, the old
Damn
man, the
right.
battalion commander, and you're sitting there just eating a blast of verbal diatribe, just just to the face, and you're just like,
You're eating a shit sandwich.
Roger, sir, Roger, Sergeant Major. Yes,
Yep.
we will go to the wood
Mhm.
line. We will correct this immediately.
Damn right.
Yes, Sergeant Major. Absolutely. Roger that, First Sergeant. Absolutely. So, but I have a little bit of a story where I talk about integrity. So we were out in Camp Shelby, Mississippi, and we were getting ready to do our pre-deployment. We were doing our pre-deployment training to go to Afghanistan. This is 2005, like the second quarter of 2005, because we left in July. And one of our guys was out in the field and lost a sensitive item. We thought. So we did not lose a sensitive item. One of the NCOs in charge of said individual actually took the device off of said person's service rifle and had the entire company out there freaking doing grid searches for about an hour and a half until he just went back over and went and plopped it back down on his rucksack. And it's like, oh. And as soon as, dude, when you just said fuck games, I thought of that and I went, this motherfucker. Like straight up. Like, okay. So yeah,
Is this one of those situations where we can say go go?
it was at this point so and so had realized he fucked up. So anyway, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this.
Clearing out the schnoz.
Because I'm Irish, we like the potatoes. So we're gonna read a short couple of articles here. This is one that we found from taskandpurpose.com, and the article is titled "In Military Service and Business, Integrity is Key." So, excuse me. Among the Marine Corps' leadership traits, commonly known as JJ did tie buckle, it's like a big long freaking thing that is apparently all of y'all's core values, is integrity, which I believe is the most important. Adherence to this leadership trait will ensure a successful career both in and out of the military. Integrity, as defined by the Marine Corps, means that you are honest and truthful in what you say or do. Having integrity means that you put honesty, sense of duty, and sound moral principles above all else. During my career in the Marine Corps, I always tried, usually successfully, to adhere to this maxim of leadership. Integrity and its subcomponent, honesty, are the keys to diffusing most mistakes you make in your military career. The lesson is to immediately accept responsibility for your honest mistakes or miscalculations. This almost instantly neutralizes most situations. To be clear, accepting responsibility will not erase all of the repercussions of serious or criminal misconduct. What I'm focusing on are honest mistakes that we all make when trying to do the right thing, known in the military lexicon as good initiative, bad judgment. Listen, I wasn't in the Corps, but man, I have seen plenty of that shit. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, preach. This occurred in my career when I inadvertently circumvented my chain of command to add a Marine to my trial team. I was just a few days from the most important legal case of my career, and I needed help. And I needed help right then. There was a lawyer, Lieutenant Colonel Glenn Hines, who I knew I needed from another section. I asked his section head if he could assist with my trial. The section head agreed, and Hines was added to my trial team. Here is where I made my error. I didn't get clearance from my superior officer before adding Hines to my trial team. Big mistake. My superior officer, normally a calm and reserved man, was visibly angered by my failure to observe military protocol. He called me into his office for a serious conversation. As soon as he made his displeasure known, I immediately accepted full responsibility, made no excuses, and apologized for my mistake. This ended the issue immediately. I explained that I had no ulterior motive for adding Hines without consent of my superior officer. I had simply taken action because time was of the essence. The trial was 72 hours away, and I needed help. Fortunately, my superior officer was an understanding and just leader. I had demonstrated integrity in our superior subordinate relationship. Beyond our prior relationship, I believe my immediate acceptance of responsibility without excuses or trying to shift the blame, don't get me started on that, contributed to the issue quickly fading from his memory and allowing us to get back to business as usual. Outside of my personal experience, there are numerous examples in the civilian world of integrity diffusing what could otherwise be a disastrous event. The following example illustrates this point. In 1982, 7 people died in the Chicago area after taking extra strength Tylenol. The bottles had been purchased, infused with cyanide, and then returned to the shelves of supermarkets and drugstores. The criminal behind the poisoning demanded
I
one.
remember reading about that at one point. It was
Oh, yeah?
some sick son of a bitch. Yeah. He was going around polluting bottles of Tylenol, like basically over the counter drugs. And he killed quite a few people. No, the guy to this day still hasn't been found.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The criminal behind the poisoning demanded $1 million to stop the murders. Johnson & Johnson, the makers of Tylenol, took action in a way that had never been done before. The company recalled 31 million bottles of Tylenol from the store shelves, offered free replacements to all customers, and developed the first tamper-proof packaging. The chairman of Johnson & Johnson, James Burke, quote, was widely admired for his leadership and for his forthrightness in dealing with the media, end quote. Integrity paid off as the company had paid out increasing dividends for more than 39 years. The Tylenol poisonings occurred over 30 years ago, but because of the acceptance of responsibility by Johnson & Johnson, there are few that have a negative opinion of the company today. It remains one of the most powerful brands in the world. The vast majority of mistakes we all make are honest miscalculations. Nobody's perfect. Officer or enlisted, boot private to sergeant major, second lieutenant to general. Mistakes are normal and should be expected. Be honest and accept responsibility, and your mistake will have a short life. Lie and make excuses, and
What
it
was
will come.
that? Own your shit.
Love it. I'm going to read that last part again because you just totally lost me up. You totally messed me up. Be honest and accept responsibility, and your mistake will have a short life. Lie and make excuses, and it will only compound the mistake and destroy your integrity. And I'm going to add on to that real quick. One of the things I see, especially with a lot of younger folks nowadays, is like they're afraid to make mistakes. And it's like, that's okay. When you
Yeah.
make mistakes when you're young, provided they're not serious life altering or life changing mistakes for you or somebody else. You know, there's this great I forget. I've seen it in several places, whether it's either social media, like somebody will post it up on Facebook or somebody's Instagram page or something like that. But it basically says, how do you get to be old and wise? First, you must be young and stupid and make mistakes. That's how you get wisdom. You get wisdom by being dumb. Okay. You
Yep.
learn from it. You go from there.
Funny enough.
I mean,
I mean, how the hell are you supposed to learn to not make those mistakes in the fucking first place if you don't make them in the first place?
that's why
Eh?
we have that's why we
Eh?
have that's why we have boot lieutenants. They're boot privates and there's boot lieutenants. You're gonna make mistakes.
Butterbar.
Butterbar. You're gonna make mistakes. That way you get up. I mean, what's interesting, and I found out this a while back.
We used to We used to call one of our lieutenants. I can't believe it's not Butterbar.
That's awesome. But one of the things that I found interesting is that one of the job description, one of the job descriptions of a chief petty officer in the Navy, in the United States Navy, is the actual training and maturation of officers in the grade of ensign, lieutenant junior grade, lieutenant, and lieutenant commander. They're all there. They're there just to help bring these people along so that they can mature and be good officers by the time they reach the pay grade of O5 when they make full commander. Because at full
Nice.
commander, you're actually sometimes, in some situations, you're in the command of a small vessel. You're in command of some type of military installation, so on and so forth. You will be, as an officer, you'll be in charge of a department or a section or something like that. But by the time you hit O5, yeah, you best have your shit wired tight. You know what I mean? So there's another article that we found, and it talks about, excuse me, what integrity at work looks like and 5 ways to foster it. Because listen, there, one of the things that happens in the military there are certain schools like when you go through the Q course, you go through SFAS, Special Forces Assessment Selection. When you're going through the qualification course, you sit down and you have a bunch of guys in this room saying yes, yes, or no. I will not go to war with that SOB because he's crooked. He does his technical proficiency sucks. He's a buddy fucker. Blah 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 blah. The Blue Falcons. He has a Blue Falcon on his arm. Come, buddy fucker. Caw. And if we don't get views off of just us sitting there cawing like Blue Falcons, like, come on, man. But and they can go through and they can pass the whole course with past all the training events, all the requirements, and all that stuff, but they can still get peered out. There was a guy that worked in my department who that happened to 3 separate times. He went through the Q course for the Green Berets and got peered out 3 times. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody. It's unfortunate, but
I
it's
think I think it's 3 times, and you're not allowed to once it's 3 times, you're not allowed to fucking try again, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think you're correct in that statement. I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, So, it just kind of sucks. But, hey, maybe that's motivation to move on and do something else. So let's look at that in the workplace. Like we said, being in that position of leadership, of mentorship to, subordinates underneath you, that's very important also in the business world. And one of the things that they said in here, let me find it here. They were, like you said, they said that the CEO of Johnson & Johnson was widely admired for his leadership and his forthrightness in dealing with the media. Paid out increasing dividends. Because they accepted responsibility. They did not try to pass the buck, and that to me is super important. You see a lot of young leaders or young people, like young mentors, and let's think about this. You have that. From what I understand from a lot of people, it's so hard when you go from being a Spec 4 to finally putting on those sergeant stripes. You have all the guys you served with, and now you have to stand at parade rest with them in certain situations. Obviously, if you're in a public setting, if you're out and about, you want to stand at parade rest. But guys that are downrange and shit on a deployment, or they're in an active war zone, if you call each other by your first name and shit, because you're tight with your squad mates, that's real talk. Okay. But, you have somebody putting on, Brian, our good friend Brian told me a story about somebody once they became a sergeant, they kind of pulled one of those things where you're like, really? That's kind of shitty. He's like, they were out somewhere. I don't know if they were out in the field or if they were over downrange or something, but this guy showed up and just said, hey man, and he just dropped off. He's like, clean this weapon and turn it in for me. And it's like, really? You're that guy, huh? Yeah, you're that guy. Cool. So, but yeah, integrity is important everywhere you go. So let's talk about in the workplace. So we're just going to kind of jump around in this article a little bit because it's a lengthy one. This is from better website called betterup.com.
That's what she
So
said.
really, every time I'm on a roll, you're just like this with you're like a freaking jackass kid with a magnifying glass in the sun burning the anthill. Just like we're dying over here. What was that kid's name from Toy Story? Sid. You are Sid when I'm on a roll. Shut your damn mouth. Pretty much. What is integrity? Integrity means being honest and having strong moral principles. I think we said that once already. A person with integrity behaves ethically and does the right thing, even behind closed doors. For instance, informing a cashier that they gave too much change or going back to the store to pay for something you forgot to pay for are two examples of showing integrity in everyday circumstances. Here are 7 common traits that a person with integrity shows: expressing gratitude for others, valuing honesty and openness, taking responsibility and accountability for your actions, good and bad, owning your shit, good and bad. You guys are the shit, or that was total shit, are both ways of owning your shit.
Exactly.
Respecting yourself and others around you, no matter where you are. Demonstrating reliability and trustworthiness, and showing patience and flexibility even when unexpected obstacles show up. Hold one real quick. Sorry.
Achoo.
No, it just, yeah. I'm not even going to say what it was. So we're going to read through
Lukey.
these. What did you say? I had it on the article. You said looky, and I'm like, what?
No. I said Lukey.
The boogie. It was a boogie, is what it was. Anyway,
Was a bogey.
it was a boogie. So let's talk about those real quick. Number 1, express gratitude for others. People with integrity recognize that their friends, coworkers, and community make their lives better. They show gratitude by always remembering to say a simple thank you when someone helps them out. They might also take the time to write a thoughtful note to a coworker who helped them complete an important project. Or they may go the extra mile to give their friend a gift when they've supported them through a difficult time. That speaks to me so much, like straight up. Number 2, communicates openly and honestly. A person with integrity doesn't run away from difficult conversations or situations. If they have a conflict with another person, they're open about it. They don't hide their feelings only to become resentful later on. They are also honest about their time, abilities, and preferences. No matter the situation, integrity ultimately means your moral principles are more important than your personal comfort, and honesty can be uncomfortable sometimes. Taking responsibility for your actions, good or bad. If you have integrity, it means you're accountable for your actions, even when you miss the mark. If it's easy to take ownership when you do something well. However, integrity really comes into play when you face failure. If you want to live with integrity and grow personally, you must learn to admit when you make a mistake and then choose to learn from it. Respect yourself and those around you, no matter where you are. You might not think of boundaries when you think of integrity. However, living in integrity means living at peace with yourself and your values and relationship boundaries, whether it's with your coworkers or your family. Help you do that. For example, if your friend wants to call you during work, but you need to finish a product, you need to set a boundary and call them later. Integrity also means respecting others' boundaries. Let's say your coworker doesn't want to talk to you about their dating life. So, as a person with integrity, you don't ask them certain questions. You also need to respect their time, personal values, and their identity. For example, using correct gender pronouns. Excuse me. Helps those in need without sacrificing your own health. The trait goes hand in hand with respecting yourself and others. People with integrity naturally want to help others, but what separates them from most people is their ability to know their own limits. A person with integrity will help others with their time, abilities, and even their finances, but they'll always prioritize self-care, fueling themselves so that they can stay resilient for years to come. And that is something that I find myself going through right now is self-care. I try to do a lot to help other people, whether it's family, friends, being supportive. And I realize that like I kind of have to set some boundaries there. Like I was on the phone with somebody early in the morning for several hours, and I went to work and I was like, fuck, this is absolute garbage. Like I'm not upset at the fact that I helped a friend, but at the same time, it's like when you go to work with 2 hours of sleep and you're just like, Shit.
Yeah. I can't lie. The communication part is something that I'm having to work with.
Yeah.
Let's just say I'm a balance of extremes.
Dude. Yeah.
um,
You
I
said
am
that,
a
and I thought about what you said. I'm like, yes.
I'm a balance of extremes. I'm
I,
either too open with my mouth or I'm either too shut with my mouth, and I don't usually know how to keep it right in the middle where I'm a little bit of both. Um,
like a lot of things in life, it's about finding that balance, dude.
right. So,
I go through the
you
same
know,
shit.
it's difficult for me to figure out because like I'll hold my feelings in about something, but I'll open my mouth about this and say, hey, we need to do something about this. And it's
So let
it,
me
it, it makes things way more difficult. So I think we all have our struggles with integrity. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, let me
It's-
so let me
And
let me let me tack on something to that if you don't
yeah, go
mind.
ahead.
So like there are I kind of have that problem too. Like I want to talk to people about stuff. I'm very open. I don't like to have secrets. I don't like to, I want to just like I'm an open book. Read me, not necessarily that bad, but what you just had to make the Mario noise because I'm sick.
No, no, no.
Asset. Oh, Spirit Fingers.
Jazz
Yeah,
hands.
that's it. Yep. Ooh, totally ousted myself right there. Shut up, Mac, you idiot. Something that I've figured out too is like I know that there's certain people that I can talk to about certain things
Right.
where it's not going to be a burden to them. Like there's been plenty of times with Brian that I'll ask him his opinion on something, and Brian is he's working as he's working to get his certification as a licensed mental health counselor. So he works at an intake facility. He sees private practice clients, that kind of stuff. And there's times I'll ask him a question. He's like, "Damn it, Mac!" It's like, "Why? Why? I just want to shut down therapist Brian. All right, and you just sit here and just turn all the lights on in the house, and you're like looking at it. It's so pretty out here." To quote a good Christmas movie. But like, there's certain times and places like I
Put
can't
that cookie down.
I can't Jesus. I can't talk about certain things to my daughter
Right. Yes.
because she's 8.
Right.
She's very inquisitive. Stand by. She's very inquisitive. She's very shut up. Don't say it. Don't no, no. I'm looking right at you. Shut your damn pie hole, buddy. Just let me go. All right. She's very inquisitive and she's also very empathetic. Um, she was not to brag or anything, but she won a student award earlier this year for being the embodiment of fairness. And I can see how she's very empathetic with other people, her friends, that kind of stuff. So yes, I would love to have some really good heart to heart conversations with her, but I also know that she's just not at that maturity level yet. So I
Right.
can't talk to her about certain things. As much as she's like, "Oh, I
Right.
can handle it, Daddy," I'm just like, grow up a little bit, go through some stuff,
There's still
and
that
then we'll talk.
level of immaturity that is
That you just
kind of,
have
you
to
know.
go through it. You just have to experience it. Same thing with integrity. The first time you realize you're going to get yelled at for doing the right thing, it's still a little bit daunting and shit. Like, I remember, I had to talk to a customer because I'm like, "Hey, this is when you and I were working together." And this customer was like, "Dude, like, what the hell's going on here?" And he had a legitimate beef. And I realized, like, I'm in the wrong here. I'm going to totally have to eat this one with some whipped cream on top. And he did. And the guy came up to me. He's like, "What can we do about this?" I'm like, "Okay, sir." I said, "Well, tell you what, this is on me. It's my job to get yelled at. They're just here to work." Okay. And the guy was like, "Wow, that's pretty damn brutally honest." And then after that, that guy and I were super cool. Every time he came in, he's like, "Mac, what's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, sir, how you doing? What can I get for you today?" He goes, "Oh, the usual, no problem." And that was all based on having the integrity to say, "You know what? I'm going to take the hit on this. I'm going to gig me. Okay. Don't, these guys are just here working. That
Not
falls on me."
giggity, gig me.
I want to throat slam, just throat punch, and just choke slam your sorry ass right now. Just done. Straight up done. Jackass. So, helping those in need with sacrificing your own health. The trait goes hand in hand with respecting yourself and others. People with integrity naturally want to help others, but what separates them from most people is their ability to know their own limits. A person with integrity will help others with their time, abilities. I even read that one. Crap. So, yeah, prioritize self care, fueling themselves so they can be resilient for years to come. Blah, blah. Stay resilient. Demonstrates reliability and trustworthiness. Knowing how to build trust is important in all of life, especially when it comes to integrity at work. If you're a member of a team or organization, people count on you to do what you say you will. If you don't, there will be consequences for not just you, but everyone around you. Being a reliable and trustworthy person is crucial to living with integrity. So I have a story that a certain somebody at home can listen to and remember. Um, I told my the people in my department, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna make lunch." I actually brought in a giant crock pot and I made beef stew, and everything was good. Like it turned out it was so good too. But it was in the break room. I didn't have anywhere to put it back there.
Delicious.
I don't want customers like sitting there trying to stick their finger in my crock pot and shit. And that's not any time. I knew you were gonna fucking laugh at that dickweed. Anyway, so what was really frustrating about it is I'm responsible for the employees in my department, in my charge, and all that kind of stuff. And I got told I wasn't allowed to do that because I didn't have enough for everybody. So I'm
Say
just like,
what?
yeah, I was told that I wasn't allowed to do that. But at the same time, I was a manager, even though I wasn't a general store manager. I was a department manager. So like I'm not going to feed a bunch of people that I don't have interactions with on a day-to-day basis. That's
Or any
just
relationship with.
yeah, like there's a lot of time people come up from the retail side of house back to my department. They're just like, "All right, here you go." And just drop them off and stuff. And I'm like, "Why don't you tell me what you need and all that kind of shit and just don't just like this is not the island of misfit toys. Don't do that kind of
No.
So even though I had good intentions and it wasn't exactly, unicorn smiles and rainbow farts and shit with the management, I had to sit there and eat it because they were like, you can't do that. You didn't feed everybody. I'm like,
You mentioned that. I'm gonna have to show you something later. It's pretty
okay.
fucking hilarious.
So yeah, so that kind of just, really just kind of bugged me. And I just put a bad taste in my mouth. But yeah, being there for my guys and then doing the right thing. So I thought, and then I got kind of reamed out for that. I'm like, okay. Shows patience and flexibility even when unexpected obstacles show up. People with integrity overcome life's obstacles with resilience. Oh, I think we just talked about that. For example, let's say Muhammad Jihad. Let's say they lost their job. They may feel hopeless or frustrated at first. However, a person with integrity would eventually see this challenge as just another opportunity for growth. With a bit of patience and flexible expectations, you can take positive action. Okay. So, what was the other thing I wanted to say in here? So, basically, having integrity at work means that you're reliable, dependable, trustworthy, especially with, high risk tasks and, information that's a little bit sensitive. Practice and encourage open communication with colleagues and managers. Responsive, respectful, honest, patient with your colleagues, managers, and customers. Um, Having a strong work ethic and strive to produce high quality work consistently. Are responsible for your actions even though you make a mistake. Make sound decisions even under high stress situations. And that is one of the biggest lessons I had to learn in several business ventures, working in retail, um, working as a manager, like running a company for somebody else. It's like I'm always been the guy that just like reports up, and then it's like, okay, well, we're gonna foster you to grow, to make a sound decision, and just fucking roll with it. So And I got good at that. And it's like, okay, I see what they're doing. They're letting me evolve and grow and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yep.
Lastly, are equipped to provide high quality service to your customers. Okay, so that's all good stuff. Okay, but the importance of integrity at work. Workplace integrity should be a core value for any in organization that wants to succeed, grow, and maintain ethical practices. When employees have integrity, companies and their teams can operate smoothly. And this part is important, okay? This, I've experienced it and I've seen it secondhand and I've experienced it firsthand on multiple levels. So just pay attention to this part, folks. Organizations with integrity also keep high value customers, reduce employee turnover, improve productivity, and make smart decisions. Plus, integrity leads employees to be honest about what they accomplish and proactive when they have questions. This means fewer missed deadlines and less employee burnout. Employee
In
burnout,
freaking deep, bruh.
that is one of the biggest things that I see, especially, in my time way back when I was doing retail, almost 20 years ago. But just nowadays, people are getting burned out because of everything else. I mean, you see it everywhere. You see it in the first responder community, cops and firemen. They're just like, they're so burned out because of everything going on. It's just like, holy crap, man. Like, yeesh.
Yeah. Working overtime, bruh.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, her boyfriend works for a local, not Hillsborough, but for a local county, and they're so understaffed that so normally like firemen will work 1 day on, 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
Yep.
They're doing the opposite. They're working 48 hours on, 24 hours off. Like, I don't know how this guy is not getting burned the fuck out. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
I mean, I would assume that they take rotations in terms of sleep schedules.
Yeah,
My
well,
guess.
yes. I mean, but it's all like mandatory overtime because of the short staffing issues that plague
Yeah.
this department. And I'm not trying to get into all this kind of nonsense and start a bunch of people going, "What the fuck,
Oh, what
man?
are
You're
you
trying
doing,
to yeah,
man?
that kind of stuff." So,
Where, it's called a ambulance. I mean, wait, what?
ambulance. That's great. But I
I
mean,
didn't say
listen.
that.
Say what?
I didn't say that.
Squirrel. Um, but I mean, listen, it's important because, like we talk about, self care is important, especially nowadays. I mean, and it's not the point, 10, 15, 20 years ago where people were just like, oh, quit being a pussy, just deal with it. Especially when it comes to guys and their mental health. And
Yeah.
that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
not to
We'll
steal
get
too
to
much,
that later.
not to get still too much of our thunder, but yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot, and it's funny how many different things that have splintered off from this conversation on integrity. We talk about self help,
Yeah.
we talk about having honesty, truth, trustworthiness, all stems from this. It's just amazing.
Integrity is a very multifaceted subject. And you're not wrong. The amount of stuff that kind of leaks into and kind of works its way into kind of what pieces together integrity as a whole is you'd be surprised, very damn surprised to see just how much actually fits into that. And I don't know, man. It's kind of like that subject of ownership. It they all bleed in together, man. All bleed in together.
And this is one of the last things I'll say about this, especially from like the level of in the business workplace, the corporate setting, passing the ownership and just saying, "Oh, it's just business." That is the most non-integrity freaking fueled answer ever. It's like,
Yeah.
here's the buck. We're gonna pass it off to you. Woo! You
Mhm.
have it now. It's your. What are you doing? It's kind of like, oh, what was that? You talk about owning that up. It's like, that reference that Robin Williams made in one of his stand up specials, talking about the monks back during the Vietnam War that protested by immolating themselves. They set themselves
Yeah.
on fire. And he made a joke about it. It's like, what if
I'm glad you said that word because I'm sure because most of our audience are a lot of them probably don't know what that word is.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, we were all there at one point, man.
I get it. Knuckle draggers up. There we go. Oh, that's a shirt right there. We should make that a shirt.
Knuckle draggers up. Actually,
Knuckle
yeah, I
draggers
like
up.
that idea. Yeah.
But they immolated themselves, and the joke that Robin Williams was like, people were like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "Making a deal with your shit," and it's like, "Yeah, you kind of are." It's like making them deal with that kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I mean, I can only imagine.
Self-immolation is actually something that is still going on today, which is fucking wild, dude.
Well, you know what? Like,
I think something like that happened recently in was it Iran? No, it wasn't. Wait, was it Iran?
I don't know.
You know,
Tell me.
I'm not even 100%. I'm gonna have to look it back up because I found it random again. I search,
Rando.
yeah, I search random news articles just to see what the fuck is going on in the world. And hey, let me let you know a little secret, folks. It's fucking nuts out there.
Wild.
Yeah,
Fucking wild.
That self-immolation story was one of them that I was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
it gives me the willies thinking about, dude.
Oh, dude, I can't imagine even I have a pretty good tolerance for pain, but like just going like, oh yeah, and then just oh, God.
So the last thing I want to say about some of the benefits that come from a culture of integrity, especially in the workplace, you promote better leaders, which it's like, yes, 100%, absolutely. Helps foster an open and positive work environment. Yes. Promotes an ethical approach to decision making. Yes. Provided that the higher ups aren't exactly trying to stick their fingers in your ethical
proverbial rear end.
Well, Kool-Aid.
That too.
That took a dark turn. Jesus, dude.
It's like
anyway.
Yep.
Promotes ethical. Yeah, I said that one. Encourages diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's important. Promotes strong and resilient teams and actively builds and maintains trust. Okay, so yeah, so. But what did you think about this, everybody? Feel free to, when you're watching this kind of stuff, feel free to
fill up that comment section, homies and homegirls.
Battle bro legionnaires out there.
Bros Legion.
I just had an idea. I gotta share with you offline about some stuff. Anyway, so that's our conversation. This is our conversation on integrity. So thanks for giving it a listen. We're gonna start closing this out like we always do. So as I mentioned before, if you're new to the show, I'll kind of give you the rundown. Alamo and I have been friends for like 20 years now. Met in high school.
21.
Stayed in contact through all that time. But yeah, and we have, known each other a long time. And then we kind of started wanting to work together. Well, we found out about a friend of ours who we used to work with, John, who unfortunately chose to solve a temporary problem with a permanent solution. You're going to hear us say that quite a bit. John was just a solid damn dude to work with. Funny fucker, just would give you the shirt off his back, just made work so much fun. The type of shit that we did with him, I'm surprised we did not get in trouble nearly as much as we probably should have. Was especially just how slick he was. We had so much fun and it was great. But
hey Mac, I'm gonna go take a Granger.
So that means he had to go drop a deuce in the bathroom.
Yeah,
he would go in there with a Granger catalog and so that was our code word for it. Just funny shit, man. But anyway, so we found out about John, and that was kind of the aha moment, the catalyst for us to go, yeah, let's do a podcast, man. Absolutely, we can do this. So in the process of coming up with this, we were thinking and trying to develop an MO, a modus operandi, a way of conducting yourselves. So we came up with the Bros Code, and it's basically 4 tenets. It is easy to remember. You got to remember BROS, and it's all going to be for just keeping you here and keeping you safe and keeping you around, so we can live to hear your story or for you to tell your story. So letter B, be tenacious is the first one. When you do things, go out there and do them to the best of your ability. When you say, I want to have the virtue of integrity and the characteristic of integrity, whether it's in the military, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's setting an example for your kids. A lot of folks can fall into that trap of do what I say, not as I do. You have a hard time with that. I try to have integrity and do the right thing, with my daughter, and that's important because you're molding a person there. No matter what that is, be tenacious. Go out and do that to the best of your ability. Ron Swanson said it best when he said, don't half-ass 2 things, whole ass 1 thing. Super important. Okay. Whole ass 1 thing, people. That's how you be tenacious. Okay. Go out and just do it to the absolute fullest, man. That's all you can. R, refuse to surrender. Like I said in there, in the article that we read, things are going to happen. Obstacles are going to come up. Things are going to get you distracted, sideways, off target, off mission. Okay. Fucking deal with it. Adjust, make corrections, carry on.
Yeah.
Continue to Oscar Mike, man. Just continue to drive on. Okay. Whatever that may be. It may be a career change. It may be an accident where you wrecked your car. You have to get a new car. Okay, deal with it. Refuse to surrender. Don't let them beat you. Okay, keep driving on. Obliterate your obstacles. Kind of going hand in hand with what we just talked about. The obstacles that come up, they're going to get in your way. Whether it's, a sudden life change because of a health condition, or whether it's, somebody going through divorce or the loss of a loved one or something like that. It happens. It sucks. But it happens, and it's an obstacle, and they're not going to be permanent. You can easily navigate around these. Sometimes you got to climb up and over, flip over the top, down the other side, and keep going through the obstacle course. Sometimes you got to dig around it, or go around it, traverse around it, excuse me. Sometimes you have to dig under it. Sometimes you have to just sidestep the landmines in the minefield, through the woods, around the Jolly Owner, and off to the park, and then continue mission from there. And sometimes you just gotta breach that shit with some C4, some Bangalores, or driving a striker in the back, backing it up into something.
Yes, sir.
Just saying. Whatever the case may be, don't let the obstacles slow you down. Navigate, okay? Observe, orient, decide, act. And if you know what that is, you're pretty fucking awesome. No matter what happens, keep driving on to the OBJ, okay?
Damn right.
S, the most important tenet and pillar of the Battle Bros Code is to seek help in time of need, okay? There's nothing we can do to bring John back, and that's unfortunate because he was somebody that deserves to be around just like anybody else. And if he was here, we wouldn't have the show, and that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. But this is how we pay honor and tribute to his memory, by doing the show and mentioning him every single time. Listen, let's face it. We're social creatures, okay? We're just like primates and chimpanzees and all these other animals. We are social animals. We need to have other creatures around us, okay? Some people can do the whole lone wolf thing. Great, cool. But for the majority of us, we need to have that group of friends, family, all that kind of stuff. Some people don't have that, and that's okay. Nobody's the same. Nobody's exactly like, we're not cookie cutter people. Even identical twins are different. That's fine. But there are people out there that'll reach out to you, or that you can reach out to if you need help. For the folks in the military, if you have friends that you served with, battle buddies from basic all the way up through your time in the service, in the fleet, as some branches call it, your time out on active duty or in the reserves, you have friends, you have people that hopefully you can associated with that so can help you out. And if you reach out to them and make contact with them, in the event that that's not the case, there are other resources out there that you can rely upon. There is a National Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you're feeling like you're going down that bad path where you might want to just say, you know what, I'm ready to punch my ticket. Well, don't do that. You deserve to be here. And these folks can help. Okay. You can call the phone number at 1-800-273-8255. Again, that's 1-800-273-8255. And I believe you press 1. They have trained professionals there that are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then recently, this last year, I think it was July-ish, they added a new way to do that where you can just dial 988. Again, that's 988. And you can either call or text. Because let's face it, everybody's on their damn cell phones nowadays and they text and all that kind of junk, which is fine. It's just, sign of the times. We're evolving. We're, getting more ways to have resources available out there. But same thing, 988, and you can text or call, and they'll get somebody in touch with you and help you through your stuff, okay? You deserve to be here. You deserve to have your story told. Because let's face it, this number right here, the 22 a day, that's how many veterans on average commit suicide. And
yeah,
that's a lot of fucking people, and it's way too many.
Way too fucking much, man.
It stings a lot worse when you know one of those 22. Okay, like when we found out about John, it was just like, oh fuck, and like, we fell out of touch. We really should have just kept things going, stayed in contact, but life happens and all that kind of shit, and I regret that.
Yeah,
I regret that a lot. Moving forward, though, reach out to people, man. If you think you need to talk to somebody, talk to us. Talk to whoever you can. Talk to us. Talk to your service mates that you were in the military with, people from your job. Don't just go around blabbing your stuff to everybody. You kind of have to find that good connection to, be able to handle that kind of shit. To talk
be
to
honest and upfront about how you feel, man.
Like I said in the article, open and honest conversation. That's part of having integrity. That's like with my friend the other night, we talked for like 3 hours on the phone just because they were going through a lot of stuff. Was I tired? Yeah. Did it matter because I helped them through something? No, because I was there for my fellow person. So it's a big deal. So
yeah,
but yeah, if you can remember those 4 things, you're going to be okay. So
damn right.
That's why we talk about it. So I'm going to hand it off to Alamo. He's going to start closing us out for this episode, and then we're going to sign off here shortly. But
if you would like to, why am I having a brain fart? If you would like to catch, if you would like to catch us over on the social medias, you can do that over on Facebook.com/BattleBros.podcast. You can also do that on Instagram at BattleBros_podcast. You can catch us on the Twitter space at BattleBrosPC. And I'm not seeing any followers, damn it. That means y'all better start getting in gear.
Join us on the Insta-Twit.
Exactly. If you'd like to actually chat with us and send us some messages, you could do that via the instant messenger on all those current platforms, as well as our Gmail, which is battlebrospc@gmail.com.
We also still are looking for that first customer, or that first customer. Sorry, I'm going off of what I was reading. We're still looking for that first person to get on, and you can listen to us on a bunch of different things, like
absolutely
the Apple Music,
Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Amazon Music, iHeart, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Stitcher.
All that shit. But we're looking for that first person to be like, "Hey Alexa, play the Battle Bros podcast,"
as well as Anchor and Spotify.
First person to do that and get us a clip of that, we're going to totally give you some verbal love here on the show. We would greatly appreciate that. So continue on, my man.
If you'd like to support the show, you can do that over on the Anchor app, where you can go and follow us. You can also click the little support button right down there at the bottom where it says support. You can donate wherever you feel like. Also catch us here on the YouTube every Friday night at 9, as well as on the Rumble typically within the next 24 hours or next day. You can catch us on the Rumble there. And once again, hit that Rumble button. Also, subscribe. Hit that notification bell for when we're so that you know when we're actually going to be on, and share the out of it.
He meant to say share the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're on episode 48. We cuss all the way through them. So, like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else there, bud?
Other than that, man, I got nothing else.
So once again, folks, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, or thanks for giving us a watch. Whether it's your first time, whether it's staying up with us as we go through our shows and whatnot. And like Alamo has said in the past, if you have any suggestions for things you want to hear about, drop us an email, battlebrospc@gmail. We are always down for suggestions. We're not too uppity. We try to stay pretty damn humble doing this, and I think we do a pretty good job of that. But if you have suggestions or anything that you might want to see on the show, or if you have a name of a veteran that we could interview, hey, drop us the information. We'll reach out to them. We'd love to hear your story and all that kind of shit. So, most importantly, thank you for continuing to stay with us on this journey. We appreciate that, and also thank you for putting up with me going and making all these weird, god awful noises in the microphone and shit. I'm so sorry. I look like Rudolph right now. You can't see it because my nose is like all red from
it's
even
because
with
of the pale light.
I'm just glad I got the tissues with the lotion in them. So,
have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
What? It's something I say. It's all my prey. Shoots again. Jack Danielson, man. Good shit. Anyway, folks, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it. This has been episode 048, talking about integrity here on the Battle Bros podcast with myself, Mac, and my homie over here, Alamo. You guys fucking rock. We love you. We appreciate you. Stay humble, and just remember, be tenacious, refuse to surrender, obliterate your obstacles, seek out help in a time of need. You can do those 4 things. You're going to be okay, and we're going to be here to help you out. So until the next time, we appreciate it. We're signing off, and we will see you sometime down the road.
Battle Bros out.
Bye.
Bye.